Welcome back to my YouTube channel, and this time viewer discretion is extremely advised because this video gets freaking gory, violent, and extremely awesome. So if you're underage, please don't watch this video. But if you are of age, enjoy. My name is Ifeanyi. Welcome back to the Gemini Plug. Please like, subscribe, and share. We continue today's video where we left off in the last one. Luthor and his best friend Pete had apparently decided, or rather Pete had decided that Luthor had to become a superhero. I mean, his abilities were too awesome to just deny and go back to living regular lives. So Pete got some boots and some jackets, some gloves for no fingerprints, and a very spooky Halloween mask. But Luthor, as soon as he put it on, felt like a fraud. This was not what he was meant to be doing with his life. He wasn't a superhero, he just read a book. And now, Pete, looking at his best friend, knew this was what Luthor was built for. Both of them had two different opinions about this whole situation, and Luthor felt like a freak, assuring Pete that this is not what he wanted to do with his life. He doesn't have superpowers, and just to test that he does, Pete lobbed a book with all of his strength directly at Luthor's head, and Luthor caught it without even turning around. Luthor was visibly furious, but Pete knew at this second that you, my friend, are meant to be great. You're a superhero, protector of the weak. Told him to think for a second. Don't you think there's someone out there who the police can handle that you can? And Luthor knew at that moment Pete was right. Because when he was younger, he couldn't do anything while he watched his mother being abused by his father. But this time around, he really can do something. So he made up his mind to at least try. Meaning, he had to sneak out of the house. But it wasn't easy because his mom was extra vigilant tonight. He made it clear that he was just going to the library, but she thought he wanted to go see Pietra. And he made it clear that nah, he wasn't. Asking how did she even know about Pietra, but she's his mother. She could tell when another person is in their home. It was also very clear that she wasn't comfortable with Luthor out of the house. She felt safer with him around, especially this period because his father was out of prison and his father was an abuser, so he was definitely going to track his mother down. But Luthor assured her that if he did come, he was going to suffer. But for now, Luthor had to practice being a hero, and he was good at scaling rooftops. But when it came to it, he was bored. Being a hero is nothing like the comics. Crime doesn't just appear. Until he saw a guy and his girlfriend arguing, and at that moment, it got violent quick, and Luthor had to step in, asking the guy not to touch the girl. And he wasn't listening. He told Luthor to fuck off. And Luthor asked him again, don't touch the girl, ripping off the guy's shirt. Which was extremely funny because we all know Luthor was trying to toss the guy, but he didn't know his own strength. So the guy was forced to attack Luthor, but Luthor was just too quick, stepping out of the way and tossing him to the floor. The moment where he was about to give his heroic speech, he felt the bag smacking against his head. Shorty was defending her man that was literally about to put a beating on her. Luthor realized at this moment, screw this, and he left, going to see the one person that could always make him smile. But for some reason, she wasn't coming to the window, so he had to toss a bigger rock. He tried to call her, but she doesn't pick up her phone. And she made it clear that she doesn't use her phone for nothing but music, asking if he could come up, explaining that his night was not the best, but before he could, they were interrupted by someone in her house, so she was forced to close the window. While his night was going terrible, we see the two criminals who he beat up, planning at the back of a cop car how they were going to murder Luthor in his own house. And it was so weird because the cops could hear everything they were saying, and they made it clear they didn't care. But just before anything could happen, they heard a thunk. Something had landed on the roof of their vehicle, but they didn't have much time to respond because right that second, both of the cops died because one got his head smashed and the other got his head completely ripped off. Gruesome and bloody like I promised. Watching the cops die in such a spectacular fashion, the criminals knew at this second that they were next, and they weren't eager to die, but they did spectacularly. And Luthor found this out the next day while eating spaghetti, so he lost his appetite quick, only to realize that for some reason the people that have had animosity towards him have suddenly died. The bully and his family died. Now these criminals dead. Something is clearly wrong. But before he could explore it, Pietra came and sat down with them. She had sunshades on, which was weird because they were indoors, and her hand was clearly hurting and bruised. But Luthor noticed all of this in an instant because not only does he have powers now, his mother did the exact same thing to cover up her abuse. Pietra decided to walk off. She didn't like being questioned, and Luthor, later that night, decided to meet this boyfriend again because he put his hands on women, and Luthor doesn't like men that put their hands on women. Breaking into his house, he knew he had a gun, but Luthor wasn't scared, even after the gun was aimed at his head. He just took it and dismantled it in an instant and told him, "Hit me, right now." The big gangster, feeling confident, decided to hit Luthor, but there was no point. He was like steel, and Luthor said, "Hit me harder." So the gangster went for Luthor's face, but there was no difference. It was like hitting a brick wall. His hand cracked. Luthor smiled. "Are you done? Good. Now it's my turn." Grabbed the guy's hand and shattered it in an instant, backhanding him directly to the floor. Because at this moment, he was taking out his anger. He doesn't like women beaters. So, he was going to show you how it felt to be powerless, beating the absolute crap out of this wannabe gangster, asking him a simple question: how does it feel to be powerless? And ragdolling him around his apartment, his body landing at the foot of his door, because someone opened it. Standing before the door was the librarian. Yes, the butcher of men was here, standing before Luthor. You know the next video is going to be crazy, so stick with us. We drop videos every day. Join the family.